Okay, so let's discuss a topic in photography about lenses. And there's nobody else out there talking about this topic. Nobody. It's me, and there are a couple mentions by a couple other people. I think one of them, actually, yeah, the one that does discuss it is the one that used to call me endlessly on the telephone. Anyway, I've got way too many lenses. Tested endless hundreds of lenses. I myself own way too many lenses. I mean, many of which I fixed. They're broken and therefore they were free, and so I don't know if that really counts. But anyway, well over 400 lenses. Not that that's important. I'm not bragging about that at all. Recently, and of course I'm old enough to have listened to vinyl records more than a few times. Well, more than a few times. I grew up listening to some vinyl records at the folks' house. I think it'd be like playing the Carpenters or something. Anyway, I was at Bud's house, got expensive tube amplifier, some really nice speakers, maybe a bit too expensive. I like all forms of music except for country music and rap music. One thing I particularly like, and yeah, this is about photography, okay? Just chill out a second. Is harp music, and he happened to have a vinyl record on harp music because he actually happens to own a small classical music collection. Well, I popped the vinyl record. I think it was a Marantz. Is that how you pronounce it? A Marantz record player. Popped it on the Marantz. Tube amp kicked in. It's actually one of those modern tube amps that actually where the tubes are exposed. I forget who makes it. I think it's kind of expensive. I remember seeing them before. It's kind of retro, but it's very expensive tube amp, and that was a crotch melting experience. I mean, all of us are listening to CDs, and all of us are listening to MP3. Now, the parallels between like high fidelity audio and like a really, really good lens are there are so many parallels. It's absolutely spooky. And of course I knew this before, but this really kind of drives it home. And let me get to some technical points here too. Also, the people fighting between like CDs and vinyl records. Now, no one's saying a vinyl record is practical. It's no damn good in your car, and it's certainly no damn good. You're not going to walk around with a vinyl record playing. You're going to have a little iPod like I have, some MP3, which of course is crap audio, but it's good enough to enjoy your music, right? Well, that's true. Same thing with a really sharp lens. Well, it's good enough to enjoy your photographs. It's like, well, isn't that great, You spent thousands of dollars on a camera and you stuck a really sharp lens on the camera, and that's all it is sharp. Well, isn't that all that matters? It's like, if you think that, then you're a retard. Okay, you are. I mean, let me not insult you. Don't take it personally, but everybody else out there is a damn idiot on this subject too. If you have the opportunity to listen to whatever your favorite, now a lot of stuff is not on vinyl. Although, ironically, someone pointed out that's an expert audiophile that vinyl records are still being made, but everything is going to an advanced form of digital. Everything's going to MP3. CDs have basically vanished. Amazingly enough, vinyl records will still be being made after CDs have vanished from this earth. And CDs are very, very quickly vanishing, but vinyl records are still being made. Obviously, the two are not equatable, since the people that, no one's using vinyl records in their car or walking around listening to vinyl records. We all understand that. That is, however, a valid point. I don't know if you've ever heard what a really well-mastered vinyl record sounds like with a really good amp and a set of speakers, but it's crotch melt. I mean, it's been decades, not decades, but as far as taking that really good vinyl record and hooking up an amp and hooking up a good set of speakers. I think his speaker set's like $5,000 he told me, which is a lot. I know that's probably not much for really, really high-end. Some of those stupid speakers I know cost as much as a new car. The point being is that it's crotch melting, and even a deaf person, well, not literally, It's so night and day, it's not even funny. Now, the first thing that you're going to point out, and these are all the parallels just right down the line between audio and photography and really good lenses versus, modern sharp crap lenses, are just right down the line. People say, well, vinyl, it gets dirty, it has hiss and pop, and people will talk about identically so with, I have 6 of these lenses. By the way, my buddy who's a world famous photographer who shoots for Elle, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, he hates, I don't know if he used the word hates, I think he basically used the word hate, like the 70-200 lens, and I'm with him on that. He doesn't, he's shooting the best of the best and the top models for the top magazines. He doesn't use that effing 70-200 lens made by anybody. He uses the 180 millimeter. This is one of his favorite lenses, as he will tell you, and the 135 f2 DC. Those are the lenses before I ever met this guy. His name is Benjamin Kanarek, and I just did a 3-part interview with him yesterday. He will tell you those are his favorite lenses for, he's got eyes. There's a reason, like, why don't you use a 70-200? It's a sharp. He's not using that. The reason is he has taste. He knows what's going on. It's the same person that is going to argue, like, MP3 is better, CDs are better, you don't have to worry about CDs, and they've mastered out all the noise and the pop, and there's no issues with needles and, like, dust on the records. All of that is true. Okay? All of that is true. There's a huge secret about lenses that you don't get the same way as any modern stupid punk, and don't take this personally, like, my MP3 and I blasted it, so it's like you've not really heard what, like, an awesome mastered vinyl record sounds like with a tube amp and some, it is crotch melting, it is crotch melting. The same reason and the same premise behind all these people that go to a camera store, like, oh, the latest, greatest, sharpest lens, I want a 70-200, well, it's sharp, I love it. I mount it on my Nikon. You just don't understand what the hell a really good lens is. You don't, and don't take that personally. You don't understand. It is amazing all the parallels between audio and photography. And I'm the only person on YouTube that's making videos on this topic. How come that? Well, the reason for that is that the rest of these guys with the big photography channels, the big ones, they're all clowns. They don't know what the hell's going on. Much less have they tested hundreds and hundreds and thousands of lenses. Like some of the lenses, like, it's the same thing with vinyl. People talk about, like, lenses like this, they got chromatic aberration. This is a perfectly sharp lens. But, is it like razor sharp? It's like, no, and it's got some chromatic aberration. But this lens will melt your crotch. There's a reason why, one of the best photographers in the world, who's the guy that's doing the covers for Elle, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, there's a reason why he's not using a 70-200. And he doesn't like the lens. I can't actually speak for him in saying that. I know he doesn't. I think he called it clinical and boring and a few other things. Basically, no matter how good the 70-200 is, and I've got the most expensive ones money can buy, they are cold and clinical. This lens will beat it every time. This is 180mm 2.8. I got 6 of these. Like the Voigtlander, the lens that I've had thousands of people buy. Literally thousands of people have bought that Voigtlander lens off my recommend. Well, that lens has got, you shoot a high contrast scene, that lens got some good chromatic aberration going on. And at 1.4, it's not the sharpest lens in the world. It's plenty sharp lens, but it's not the sharpest lens in the world. All these parallels exist between audio and photography. The same in audio land, not that I'm part of that, but I know this for a fact, that the same stupidity exists amongst the audiophiles, debating, CDs versus vinyl. There's no doubt that vinyl is scratchy, it has noise and distortion, you got the needle jumping and the dust and whatnot. That's true, but you crank up a vinyl record and, compared to the CD, and there's like hundreds of videos on YouTube I found out, people like popping a CD of the same song, they'll pop in the vinyl, even though YouTube is using these audio compression algorithms, so it's actually drowning out the advantage of vinyl, you can still hear it. You can still hear it. And the same BS exists in photography. 99% of everybody doesn't know what the hell's going on with lenses. Most people have tried 20 lenses at most, and they own maybe 6 lenses. It's like, have you tried thousands of lenses like I have? No? Then shut the hell up. I'm not talking to you, but I mean, I get that stuff from like, oh, no, no. I was like, why don't you try this lens? Don't buy that Voigtlander. That's just one example. Here's another example right here. Or, what's another one? Oh God, there's countless ones. I mean, there's a reason I'm buying those old lenses. They're just incredible. Like Rakinen 55mm 1.4. Some of these amazing low, like the 85mm 1.8 D series. What are some other? I mean, God, there's so many of them. They just can't come to the front of my brain fast enough. The 135 f2 DC, the 105. To me anyway, the 105mm f2 DC, the best portrait lens ever made. Just flat out, balls out, crotch melting. It's like, why would you buy that lens? It's got chromatic aberration. It's not insane. Because that lens is something that you don't understand. It's got class and character and depth and saturation. There's nothing that's going to match it. There's no 70 to 200. There's no other zoom lens that's going to match it. It's a fact that these low element count lenses have chromatic aberration. They have a bit of distortion. But the best high thing that defines high fidelity, and I'm not a super audiophile, I mean, I've got some nice set of speakers, and I'll crank the music up really loud. I'm probably going to get a vinyl record set and some sort of good enough, and I'm going to start, it's like some of my favorite stuff is classical, and oddly enough, you just don't find that anywhere. MP3 or CD or not, and you have to go to vinyl. It's like, well, why not? I'll get it in vinyl. I'm going to get myself a nice vinyl record set, and I don't think I can afford a tube amp, and I'll afford, decent enough speakers, just enough to take advantage of the vinyl. But I think I'm going to get a vinyl set. Here's an example, and I think this was from Wikipedia. Ideally, high-fidelity equipment has inaudible noise and distortion. It's the same thing with these low-element count lenses. Other people, when I talk about micro-contrast, people don't understand micro-contrast. Like I know what contrast is, but what's micro-contrast? Really what it is lens fidelity. Okay, it's lens fidelity. It's like this. You could compare this to a vinyl record and player. It's like, well, this lens has got some distortion. It's not the sharpest lens in the world, but when you take a picture with this lens, it's crotch melting. The contrast, the micro. When you take it, big difference. You take a black and white image of like a zoom with like 28 plus elements in it versus this low element count. Man, there's a huge difference when it comes to black and white. I mean, you render this in a black and white, whoa. There's just, it's obvious. It's just a smack in the face. Some people are tone deaf too. I mean, I assume that a lot of these people that are arguing CDs versus vinyl are the same people that are just tone deaf. I mean, they just don't know what the hell is going on. And there should be, there has to be, I know for a fact that there is, the same sort of deafness that exists in people that are viewing images. Like, I don't see the difference. This one's nice and sharp. And it's like, well, you don't see the difference between like this lens and like a zoom lens at 180. No, I don't see the difference. Well, like, you're an idiot. They're the same people in photography, the same people in audio that are tone deaf. Most of you, I know for a fact that most of you have not listened, because most of you are younger than me, have not listened to, I grew up on it, but it's been a long time, not listened to a really good vinyl record with a really good amp and good set of speakers, because it is crotch melting. There's just no comparison at all. It's like, yeah, there's some hiss and pop in there, the record's a little bit wavy, and, I know that. It's like, oh, CD's better, Well, it is. It's portable. You could do it in your car. You could pop in your iPhone. Vinyl, you got that player. It's got to be, you got no vibration. These speakers, the preamp, that's a lot of money. And you got the big-ass vinyl records that need to be taken care of. I get all that, but it's still a better audio experience. And here's something else that you people don't get. There is no such thing as digital audio or digital photography. It's like, what do you mean? It's digital. No, digital is how something is recorded, girlfriend. No one on earth has ever seen or listened to digital audio or a digital image. What the hell does that mean? All light and all audio is an analog waveform. Do you feel me? Here's something that's so obvious and people are so stupid that they don't get it. Like, how stupid is like that stupid. Digital is only how something is recorded. There's no such thing as digital audio. Like, I'm going to listen to some digital audio. Now, it's recorded digitally, but when I hear it, it is an analog waveform that's hitting my eardrums. The human body, until we get some sort of jack we could like plug in for like binary or something, which I'm sure is in the future, the human body has no way to see or hear digital audio, or images. It doesn't exist. It's like, process that information. Someone commented, I found on one of these boards on vinyl versus CD, said if digital had come first, no one would have bothered to invent vinyl records. So let's just think about that for a second. People are remaking. Let's apply that to photography. Like if the really high element count lenses that are overcorrected for chromatic aberration and are just totally designed for max resolution, no vignetting, whatnot, if those had come first, here's a fact. All those old lenses that have chromatic aberration and distortion, Meyer Optic Görlitz and some of these other companies are raking in hardcore money, and they were selling out immediately when they announced like a remake, like the remake of the Biotar. When they're doing a crowdfunding thing on that or whatever it is, they pay whatever the hell it is they're doing, the fund, the lens. I mean, they sell out immediately. Boom! When Meyer Optic Görlitz says we're remaking this 100-year-old lens, and I got a couple of them like the Trio Plan. You know, they have an X period of time for you to fund that lens. They're funded like wham! Immediately. These old lenses are highly desirable to be remade because the only reason for that is because the older ones are seized up, for the grease is frozen, and they're too damn expensive. It's like, you know, these optically inferior lenses are in extremely high demand to be remade because you know, most of them are just too damn old and too seized up. The grease is dried up, frozen up. You know, you can't focus it. And they're too expensive. All of the above. These lens companies are remaking those lenses, and they're doing really well at it. And not only that, they're charging a lot of money, and they're still selling them. So this is BS. If modern lenses are better, I hear this stuff like on the idiots, these knuckle-dragging, pseudo-intellectual morons, people that like inhabit Diaper Review and these other photography forums. They really do. It's a modern lens. It's better. Really? Is that what you think? Those people are idiots. They're flat-out morons. They are just flat-out morons. They don't know what the hell a good lens is. It's sharp. That's all that matters. No vignetting. Really sharp. No chromatic aberration. If that's all that mattered, those people are so stupid. It's palpable how stupid they are. I used to have some really high-end recording equipment. I had sound devices and some of the best, most expensive shotgun microphones, including the Sennheisers, several Sennheisers. And I would do recordings, and I would love doing. I did some binaural recordings. And my God, you know, no one's ever heard, like, most of you have never heard a true binaural recording off a high-end mic recorded on some really high-end audio equipment. Man, when you play it back and you close your eyes, I mean, you could hear the grass moving underneath your feet, like when you're walking and recording. It's mind-blowing. It doesn't compare to, like, modern MP3s and CDs, I mean. But most of you have not heard high-end audio, like, you know, like a vinyl record played on good speakers with a great preamp. And most of you don't even know what the hell a really good lens is. Like, oh, you know, modern crap's got to be the best, you know, because it's everything. You know, Nikon and Canon, all these people are perfecting the future. And they're not. They're just making lenses to appeal to the masses. And, you know, the ancient word for the masses, let me clue you in, like the ancient Pali word for the masses or the people, is the exact same word as the word for stupidity and ignorance and dumbassery. The ancient Pali word is putujana. Putujana. Sounds like you're spitting too. Literally the word for the people is the exact same word as the word for dumbass. In other words, the word for dumbass and people collectively is the exact same word. The ancients had it right. When you appeal to the people, you appeal to the stupid. Duh! I love the ancient languages. They're so accurate, much more accurate than our languages, our modern languages are today. It's like, that's so brilliant. The ancient word for people is the exact same word as the word for stupid, or idiot, moron, dumbass. Patugina. That's an ancient dead language, by the way. It's an ancient Indo-Aryan Prakrit, technically Pali, which I translate a Prakrit. Anyway, a microcontrast is nothing other than lens fidelity. Its ability to transmit all those intertonal details that define. This video is not about microcontrast. It's just amazing, all these incredible parallels between audio and photography as it pertains to lenses. I mean, this lens is basically like a vinyl record with a great preamp but stereo. And well, the stereo would actually, the speakers would be the camera. Is playing on the sensor, shall we say, if we're going to be truly literal. But you know, we're all used to listening to MP3 and all this compressed audio, and we think it's great. You know, I'm as guilty of that as the rest of you. But I do remember from way back in the day how awesome and warm and true and the great deep bass that existed on the vinyl. And I recently heard, you know, some classical harp on a vinyl record, and my God, it's crotch melting. It's just, man, it just makes you want to take a gigantic dump all over all my MP3 players. Nobody uses CDs anymore, do we? We don't use CDs. We got a big MP3 collection we take everywhere with us. So anyway, this is an important video so far as understanding photography. And like I said, it's amazing. The parallels, there's countless parallels between photography and audio. Phase distortion is the same. There's a bug in here flying around. Phase distortion is the same. People arguing back and forth between analog and digital. Of course, there's no such thing as hearing digital music. We can only hear analog air vibrations. There's no such thing as digital audio, hearing digital audio. It's a recording medium, which involves compression, and it throws out a lot of stuff, and it is audible. You know, I don't mind the hiss and the noise and the scratchiness of the vinyl when you get that incredible high fidelity experience. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. One guy is an expert audiophile said, on paper, a CD is superior. This is the exact same thing in lenses. On paper, these modern lenses are superior. A better correction for chromatic aberration, better corner to corner. On paper, they are superior. It's the same thing as a Sony camera. Sony camera has amazing specifications. On paper, it's a superior camera. The reality is, however, it's a crap camera with poor ergonomics, poor customer support, blah, blah, blah. You know, screw Sony. Sony sucks. Sony isn't even a camera company. It's a consumer electronics company. It's so amazing, all these parallels. I love what that guy said. I forget his name. He's an audiophile expert. He says, on paper, CD is superior. Dynamic range and frequency response. But, you know, when you pop in the same song from a mastered vinyl versus a CD, and you play it on a good preamp and speakers, both of them, it's like, wow, there's no comparison. No comparison between the two. Anyway, this video is important to me. If you hate it, fine. But no one else is talking about this topic. And it is an important topic. Whether you think that or not, it's another matter, but it is important. That is, if you actually give a damn. So you say, I just don't give a damn. Well, that's fine too. If you like this video, click the link below. Tell me to jump off a cliff. Whatever makes you happy. Thanks. Bye.